Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Act 3.
Space, the thing we have to cross. These are the voyages of the U.S.S. Horizon. Its ongoing mission, to seek out new life, to swear it was on stun the whole time, and to boldly claim we can fix it.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Terrible Warriors, to the third chapter in our Return to the Living campaign. We are the stars that give us life. Is that what it was? I should just keep this up. No, we are the okay. Welcome back, everyone, to Terrible Warriors, to run through the Star Trek adventure. I almost said the terrible adventure. The Star Trek adventure here, the Living campaign. We are playing through the next chapter in that Living campaign where we left off. We're like a year or two behind now. They're already into their second season. We're taking our time. Also from Aaron Pollyea, who we had interview on the show a little while ago, a campaign for 2371. Because, of course, the Living campaign has two threads, a 23rd century and a 24th century. If you're a nerd of Star Trek like I am, this is important to you to know. We are the stars that sing with our life is the name of that episode. Doesn't mean anything to you yet, but here we are. Third episode. The U.S.S. McGowie has left at capacity. The U.S.S. Revelation left behind. Finish up, pick up everyone else, because you got a little delayed there with that whole like shuttlecraft and EVA thing. Took some time. And now you've been left behind just as you were hit by another massive gravimetric shockwave from the dying star that will collapse within the next 4 hours. And your warp core just got knocked out. Oh, no. I am not alone at this table, of course. I need a crew to terrorize. And my crew, shaking at their boots, are helmsman Ensign Armstrong.
Played by Brent Morris.
Yes. Who talks into his microphone.
I do, I am. Am I?
And a little closer, like that.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's
it is better.
I know, I warned you. You gotta eat these mics. You gotta eat them. Eat them like an ice cream cone.
Yeah, my character has a headache and is kind of vomiting.
Yeah, you got low-key radiation poisoning there.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. The doctor says you're gonna be fine. Hi, Doc.
Hi, Neil Tavares, playing Teth Jovaquil.
Yeah, our chief medical officer of the Revelation, as well as research head for the departments. You're the duty officer there, who kind of, you do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that thing.
Don't do that thing.
Just do what I tell you.
Lhasa, don't do that thing. Lhasa.
Lieutenant Bo Lhasa, who does not hear to don't do things. I do all the things. In real life, Velvet Duke. Speaking of things, I do holodeck follies with the dandies.
Yeah, go check it out. Comedy Bar every month.
Yeah.
It's like a 6-year long, I know we were joking about the Living campaign. We got so much canon now and only things we got to remember. You've got 6 years of improvised chicanery.
Lifetime. Yeah.
Captain's Log Supplemental. Captain Riga speaking. It was our duty to stay behind as there were still civilians in harm's way, but it has put us at risk. The collapse is only an hour away, and the last of the personnel are coming aboard. I've ordered the ship to full impulse as soon as the last shuttle is aboard, but we are currently unable to enter warp due to the damage from gravimetric waves. I'm hoping that getting as many light minutes between us and the star will buy our engineering and science teams more time to stabilize a warp field and get us to safety. We did a little bit of a time jump there. Catch us up. Thing is, it's not as dire as it sounds. The speed of light is pretty slow when you're moving at full impulse like this. Even if you are still in the system when the sun goes nova, it would be about 15 minutes from Troy U2 before anything reaches you. If you're moving at full impulse away, every minute gives you a few more minutes before that shockwave is going to hit you, because you're moving at full impulse is about 60-70% the speed of light. You can sometimes go a little faster, but then you start fucking around with relativity, and because the faster things start going relatively, because sublight impulse you're still affected by the laws of relativity, whereas warp you're not. So the faster you push the impulse engines, the more time gets screwed around with. So don't worry. There's safety measures in the ship that prevent that from happening, and you're not allowed to break them anyways. So that's you don't want temporal command on your side.
Again.
So the warp drive's been knocked out, and the last of the shuttles were brought aboard. You left the two behind from the Magawi. You breaking orbit. The ship is moving at full impulse away right before the star is to implode. You're going to have to get the warp engines online, but as I explained, time's not as dire. You got about 19 AUs between you and the star. An AU being the distance between one AU is Earth to the sun. I don't know how they handle it in Star Trek, but presumably it's still the Earth to the sun, and everyone just has to deal with Earth standard measurements like a Eurocentric colonial nightmare that Star Trek is. So it'll be like 160 minutes before any shockwave would hit the ship. So that's an eternity of time for people as well trained as you, Starfleet.
Absolutely.
So
So
Riga is given this thing. We're on the bridge. Things are tense. Everything's on board. You know, the hampers worked. People got on the ship. Transporters didn't work out well, and doesn't matter. They're not going to need to be used anyways. And you're punching it out, but your warp drive, because you did wait right to the last minute, is gone. That's an engineering issue. You're not engineers. You've got your own thing with the whispering is becoming a real problem, and you can definitely be working on that. But Armstrong is you're welcome. Rudsky can probably work with the engineering people.
Okay.
You could return the favor. He was out there. He risked his life for you. Just saying.
Yeah.
an old Redsky.
I could go help in engineering and make some contributions. I don't know if they'll be helpful, but I could contribute.
Tell him all about those Jaeger maneuvers you used to do in fine detail. Just like he told you about the replicators. Fair play.
We need to focus on emergency repairs on the ship. The amount of successes you get from this is going to determine a whole lot of options that you're going to have or not have later on in this episode we're playing here. By default, it would be reason and engineering, with a difficulty of 2, focused on emergency repairs, warp core operations, warp field dynamics, all that kind of stuff. Since you're mostly science people, I would allow you to use your science if you're working in collaboration with the engineering team, and you might be able to help them work through the math of it all. I would let you use your science ability to consult with the engineering teams to work through the issues with the warp core wasn't the warp core's been damaged, but you can definitely help out with that. That needs to be that's a priority now. We got to get the ship able to get out and rendezvous with the Magawi. Subspace communications are affected by the intense radiation coming from the sun, so it's not like you can't even be like, "Hey Magawi, want to come back? Help us out here," because you are minutes away from this thing popping like a balloon. So they probably wouldn't even bother. They'd be like, "No, we're not going towards a supernova."
We didn't save all these people just to put back in the fire.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to watch from a safe distance.
So,
yeah.
As far as for Teth, I don't think there's anything he could do as far as the warp coils. I feel like whatever I can possibly
You're
do to
working
try
on
and
the radiation poisoning.
Yeah, I
radiation
would
poisoning.
love
Okay.
a hypo
Oh,
spray.
And
boy.
you want to look into the whispering issue.
The whispering. Also, I mean, we never did get a chance to take a look at that dark spot either enough, I feel like.
Yeah, so the whispering...
As well as the ring.
There's a...
Like, do I have another couple doctors on here? I'm going to be like, he's fine. Just do this, that. He'll be good. I got to go do things. Is he still warm? Yes. Okay, great. He's fine.
Doctor, they're just passing me around.
You do also have, of course, Peter Taylor's on board, so he can help around with all this kind of stuff too.
Perfect.
He's got he can increase the amount of crew support for a single mission by 2, so he can increase so that 3 is now at 5, because you've got all these extra scientists on board. and any tasks involving science or medicine. But that's it. Just it won't work for
I feel like with Taylor, like, as soon as he's back up again and Teth gets a chance to talk to him and be like, Taylor, the next time you talk to me like you did a little while ago, you'll never see another planet again.
And I'm changing the rules. You are in touch with the Magawi. Your subspace is fine. They can't come back in, but he can talk you through anything with engineering tasks. Because that ship is a crew of Corps of Engineers. They can help you out, and you've got open channels, and they're like, Revelations, you are past your point of no return. You need to leave that system 8 minutes ago. And you're like, our warp core is out. They're like, oh, well, Revelation, we can talk you through this like an air traffic control operator that I am apparently making fun of right now.
Like the guy from Red vs. Blue. Hey there, what's going on there?
So I understand your warp core is out. Don't worry, I can talk you through this. It's real simple. First, you need to get your matter-antimatter mix ratio to 1. If it's anything other than that, well, we wouldn't be having this conversation anyway, so I must already be talking to a ghost.
Once I get back on my feet, I am a field medic, so...
Perfect.
Although, doctor, don't heal yourself. I mean, that's the only thing.
It's true. You don't treat yourself.
I have a third eyebrow. I don't know how that happened.
I'll have like a third nipple from now on from the radiation. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Canon. It's
It
canon.
expressed that in you.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Teth, you want to look into this whispering. It's going to follow the scientific method.
Sounds good.
Step 1 is observe. You must first ask questions. Your initial observations by the characters will be able to determine what discipline this observation fits into, engineering, science, or medicine. Any character with disciplines from those categories may make this task with a difficulty of 0. Once this character is determined, a character with a high skill level in that discipline becomes the research lead. This character takes lead in further steps and makes any dice rolls needed. So it is a observation. We need to first roll in what have you observed about this, and we need to figure out, before we get into even doing the scientific method, we need to know which discipline it falls into. Is it engineering, science, medicine? It's unlikely to be con, command, or security.
Yeah.
Those don't to fit into it. Which of those 3 disciplines is this?
I mean, if I was going to approach it, he would absolutely be approaching it after maybe... Oh, actually,
yeah, but
that's a
I
good
know
question.
the answer to that, not you. You have to
Yeah,
find out
I'm
which of
trying to
those 3 it
think.
is.
What could be
so you
medicine?
all roll into it, and you find out by those successes who will be the research lead.
Okay.
You're in charge of research on the ship, but it might not be you who heads it up. It depends
Makes
on
sense.
whoever has the highest discipline number who rolls into it.
Okay.
So what is your engineering there, Armstrong? And what's everyone else's engineering?
2.
1. So actually, Armstrong's the engineer in this, whether he wants to or not. And Lassa is science, and Teth is medicine.
Correct.
So each of you roll science plus, or like that discipline plus reason. 2 dice each. Just tell me which ones you got successes.
No.
Ah,
Yeah?
2 yeses.
All right. Take some momentum. Couple momentum.
I got 1 yes.
You got 1 yes? All right. This is a it's a difficulty of 0, so you don't get any momentum. You're generating momentum to use in this study. Right? So put them into like maybe one of those buckets to determine. So congratulations, Lassa. You got no successes, but it is a science discipline is where this task falls in. It operates on many brain patterns and over a large area. So it doesn't neatly fit into medicine or engineering. And so like both Armstrong and Teth are like, no, this is an engineering problem. This is a medicine problem. And Lassa's like, guys, it's both. This is a problem. So step 2, the reason we're reading this out, Neil, is we've actually never done this rule from the game before. Hypothesize. Players are encouraged to throw out ideas on what might be happening while trying to fit them into the focuses for the character or for the category of this problem, science in this case. The research lead, which is now Lassa Bow, which works because you're the one going crazy. You actually find out you're not going crazy. It's like, oh, I'm not the only one hearing this. You got the other Vulcans there. Hypothesis and the research lead may or may not have the skill focus, but they then explain these ideas to the game master. Oh, what? Okay. Players are encouraged to throw out ideas on what might be happening while trying to fit them into the focuses for the category of the problem. The research lead then chooses between 3 and 5 of these ideas to use, and are called the hypotheses. The research lead may or may not have the skill focus, but they can explain these ideas to the game master. The game master sees the hypothesis that fits the actual solution to the research problem. They regard that as the right way. They do not inform the players which hypothesis is correct. If none of the hypotheses presented fit the actual problem at all, the game master immediately gains a threat and can tell the players to go back to the drawing board and repeat the process. So, you now have your research team. You guys are down in medical bay while engineer is working to we got to get this warp core back up and running. We're not going to worry about that. We're worrying about the whispers. Because you're right, there's not much you can do. But these whispers might be critical in helping figure out what the hell's going on in this system. I need you to find the right way. And I know what it is. It's written right here on my page. All of you can present different ideas, but Lhasa is going to present me with your 3 to 5. These are what we think is happening. You've got a number of things of evidence here, including everything we've learned in the previous encounters with this tech. And it would be like the name of a focus, right? Like it doesn't have to be a focus you've got on your page, but think of it like a study field, name of a course or something like that. I think it's this. And trying to take it to like tug of war, if we had done scientific theory on that when things were going on. It's like, I think it's gravimetric disturbances, tractor beams, telekinesis. I would say, great, one of those is right. And it ended up being tractor beams. Mm-hmm. But if you hadn't mentioned anything about alien tech or anything that fit that wheelhouse, even, I would be like, none of those are close. I gain a threat, and you now have to present me with 3 more choices.
Nice.
Right, so this is what it is. So this is what I mean. Is this adventure kind of gives some breathing room here for the role play to breathe it out? There's not really anything to roll here. The 3 of you are down in sick bay. Armstrong is only there because of the radiation poisoning. Rudsky can be there, and I can have Rudsky there to help along. But you're down, and you've got some of the crew from the archaeology team. You're like, we can't help with the warp core, but we can help figure out why you're all hearing voices.
I have a theory. Since I'm experiencing this, I'm going to go first. We can't explain the technology we've met out here, but we know that it works and we know it's powerful. I'm hearing voices. This is some kind of communication, either relay or broadcast.
Okay. The only thing I can kind of think of right now, as well, is that it could potentially be even a matter of the proximity. We have a lot more of it on board right now. Well, there's that, but there's also the fact that this is coming close to critical as well. Maybe that's why it's getting stronger.
Did we didn't detect any emissions from that shadow in the star? It was there was clearly some gravimetric effect that was affecting the ring of debris. Could
it be inside the star?
Could it be inside the star? I mean, the star's about to go nova. This is getting worse as the star is getting worse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, is this broadcast thing
Rudsky's like,
inside
look, you put those 2 lines beside each other, and it goes up, and that goes up,
that's
and the
enough,
reports from the people talking about the voices. Sorry, sir.
No, you're absolutely right.
I was absolutely right. See, then we take those 2 lines, you make a graph. We had 3 reports here, and now we got 4 reports here.
That's great, Rudsky. Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome, sir.
Well, it seems that we're in agreement of what this
Would you like me to
might
look at
be,
your replicator?
but
Yes, actually, go do that now.
can you make me some fries, actually?
Oh, those are my specialty. Did you know that they're always the exact
no.
same fries?
said
no matter
fries.
what
That's why I like them, Rudsky. I like the exact same fries every time.
You said fries.
Yeah.
There's this one fry that has no salt on it because the original fries that were put in didn't have salt on it.
I'd be like ushering him out the door as he's in mid
Just
communication.
the one down the hall. So we have an idea of the what, but now then how do we solve for this? Because it is getting more and more intense.
So just come up with 3 headlines that you would then present to me of this is what we think is causing it.
We think that there is a hidden device in the sun that is causing this broadcast.
Okay.
Could it be caused by the artifacts that we've now all brought on board?
We think that we have, because of the artifacts, we think the artifacts are affecting us.
That ship that just, what's it called, the Murakowski or something? Or the Murawski?
Boom, the whole ship kind of gets rocked again. And this time, because the gravimetric studies are getting, relativity's having a bit, like when Armstrong starts talking, he starts talking. And it's like a second time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit, time ripple. Oh. Just a little tiny one, like a hiccup.
Okay. That's, as I was saying, that ship that just left, do they have any empaths on board? Are they experiencing anything? Did we bring something up that's causing this?
I guess we can make a quick kind of call to them, but yeah, that's a good question. So far, it's correct to assume that they would as well, or ours have.
The device is in the star, the device is in the artifacts, and the third one is the gravity waves, gravimetric waves.
If because the situation's getting worse, is that why it's getting worse?
Does the voices seem to get louder with every wave, or
Louder or clearer?
okay?
Would you say, or
Harder
more
to
of them?
ignore, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like...
It's like the music box.
yeah, it's a little bit like if the door's closed and they're coming from outside, every now and then that door opens, like there's a house party going on, and it's closed again.
Yeah, so it is getting louder.
I mean, there's some things that you might be able to use, Doctor, to help, like, block it out. Cortical implants, kind of a thing. Cortisone, I think, is one that they mentioned a lot in Star Trek.
Cortical stimulators
Yeah,
or
that kind of
de-stimulators.
helps, like,
Now, is
like
this-
numb it.
Is this what we want? Do we want to numb it? Is it causing difficulties in your focus, or is it something that we may require?
Until we get away from the star, we can't rule out that it's there. If it's the artifacts, we're bringing it with us, so it may not be able to be reduced. I would worry about that
You
part
started
second.
hearing this stuff when you were on the bridge. You were never near any artifacts. You heard them again when you were down by the artifacts in the cargo bay, but it was coming from outside the ship.
I thought the first time I was in the shuttle,
First time you were in the shuttle? Oh, sorry. I meant you've also been hearing it when you're just on at a science station up on the bridge, or now you're in medical bay. There's nothing around here.
Right.
If it's related to the artifacts, you can't correlate that. It's not. It doesn't seem. It's related, definitely getting more intense as the star collapses.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely how it feels, but not necessarily your proximity to any artifact.
So I believe that it is either empathic or psychic nature, as opposed to an actual broadcast device. It is operating on a non-physical level.
So you got one idea is that whatever is in that sensor shadow is broadcasting.
Yes.
You have another idea that it's actually telepathic from an
Unknown
undetected
source. Yeah.
source.
We don't know what the debris was. We don't know what caused the debris.
When
No.
Brutsky kicked him out, he could have offered something, but you kicked him out.
Well, I wanted fries.
He
with
comes
that.
back with the
I
fries.
was going to say, yeah, I wasn't
He's
supposed
like-
to come back.
It got me thinking while I was making these fries. All of the subspace damage being caused by a star-going supernova might be causing cracks in the wall of space-time.
Wow. And you make fries?
I make the fries.
We're going to talk about your placement after we get through this, Redsky.
Okay.
Wait, is Rudsky getting a promotion?
That's a new value for you. Getting everybody else
Personal
promoted.
vendetta against Redsky.
So
it's
then,
breaking down some sort of barriers between dimensions?
just to take from what
I'm going to take a
Rutsky
threat for helping you out.
what Redsky's just said, maybe it's not from the now. Maybe what I'm hearing is not from now. It's from the past or the future or a combination of all three.
Oh, Jesus.
Or maybe what I'm hearing is actually just the crack itself.
I mean, that's really incredible if that's potentially what this is.
I'll have a great personal log coming out of this one, but
What's in
solve
those
it first.
fries?
Yeah, thanks for the fries, by the way.
Rigelian spices. Freshly cracked. From the moment they were cloned, of course, because these aren't the original things. These are replicated. replicated fries are exactly the same for the original ones that were first brought on board this ship 2 years ago.
Where's the one with no salt?
I ate it. It's my favorite one.
So
Just say it back again, because I'm just a little fuzzy right
Okay,
Rutsky,
so we
not good for focus.
there's the idea that it's potentially causing some sort of a breach in space and time.
Right. So it's either a physical thing somewhere.
Well, it's not space and time. It's just called space-time.
Space-time is the same thing.
Okay,
yeah.
sorry, space time.
Because when you start getting down to the quantum level, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Just timey wimey stuff.
Thanks,
Timey-wimey,
Stephen
yeah.
Hawking's.
It's just wibbly wobbly and
Spacey
stuff.
wacy. All right. Well, I think we've played out all of the ideas that we might come up with,
I can't.
especially with time or space shortening before us. So the hypotheses are there's something in the sensor shadow. There is an unspecified influencer telepathically affecting some of us. Or there is a fissure, a crack of some sort in space-time.
Okay.
Is it all? That's bizarre. Yeah.
One of those three is the right way. We will begin testing in the next scene. It will require 5 successes to complete the research to find out which of those is happening. However, we still have to deal with the warp core. You're getting word from engineering. We're working as fast as we can. We're rolling dice and trying to get the things going on, but this is an exact science. We're not going to be able to just turn on a warp core that's been deactivated because of gravimetric disturbances. There are safety protocols in check for that way. And you know, they're confident we'll be able to get it going, but just keep moving us away and get every minute we can. You're down in sick, but you're a bit a little, you're at a loss. There's not much any one of you can do. So you're going to work on this and maybe try and find some answer about the whispering. The whispering is getting louder as the star continues to get weaker. So it requires it's like reason and science, and it's a difficulty of 3 when you're rolling into this. As you're all working, like think of it like a science montage here, looking at like displays and brainwave patterns and recording those brainwave patterns.
Have this pile of pads.
You've got the other Vulcans that are certainly more receptive to this than you are, and you've got them like sedated on med bays, and you've got like the cortical readers on their heads, and you're like reading everything, and you're putting it up on the screen. You're trying to maybe you can record what they're hearing, and that will help you like break into things. You need 5 successes on top of the difficulty of 3. This is where that momentum that you had,
Yes.
and remember, you've got how many successes from that very first bit about the star?
Yes.
From the very beginning, it was 3, wasn't it?
It was.
So you only need 2 successes on top of that if you spend your successes that you had from earlier on, and work with the sensor readings, the McGowie, the stuff the archaeologist, maybe Peter Taylor wants to come around and help out because he's like, I can't help with engineers, and you've got the archaeologists who want to know more about these devices. And so they bring up some of the crystals from the cargo bay, perhaps, and they've got them in now. Your med bay is turning a little bit into a science lab, Doctor.
Bring up Taylor, and we're going to need this now. We're going to need what you know.
Don't break it. It's priceless.
Yeah,
we don't know how old it is.
Well, it's at least 10,000 years. Don't let the air
Priceless.
touch
It's a
it.
post-currency society. I don't know why he would say
Thanks
that.
for being
but,
super obvious, Taylor.
Yeah.
well, that's what they call me, Super Obvious Taylor. How did you know?
We are definitely going to be using our momentum.
'cause I rolled a natch 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one success.
That
Yeah.
creates some complications.
So
you
did
say
I.
like, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
we will. Yeah, you don't have to tell this, Taylor. As then Rudsky drops one, and it shatters into pieces on the table.
He might have dropped 2.
Oh, sorry about that.
He dropped one
I'm
onto
sure we
another
can
one.
Put it back together.
That would be one of those like
But
shatter
you know what?
silence.
As
and
it hits the
everyone
ground,
looks.
every time there's like the ship rocked, that's like Rudsky. God damn it! But then when you look, all the little bits, like tendrils of blue, kind of move like almost like smoke going around them. And remember that device on Seku 6, the way it glowed inside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you fucked up.
Yeah. I make the choice not to go around sniffing all the tendrils of blue.
Another ripple, though, in time, and it. You know what? Here, let me. Because I want to give you some answers. I spent some threat. Oh, I should take some threat.
You take threat, yes.
Rudsky drops it. God damn it, Rudsky! Blue tendril. You're like, what? And then
Do it again.
it reverses, reassembles, and Rudsky's just about to drop it again, and Armstrong's able to, and space-time's getting a little fuzzy.
Wibbly wobbly.
Yeah, wibbly wobbly. It was just like that hiccup earlier. But
See, the last time I experienced that, it was around a bomb. So that was man-made. I mean, this may be man-made, but ancient man-made.
Okay.
If this somehow is a containment,
you can
for
succeed at a
time-
cost and spend momentum to bring you up to the successes that you need. So you got the complications. Rudsky dropped the thing. Fucking idiot. How many successes did you get though?
I got one.
I got one.
Yep.
Yeah.
One,
And did
one.
you use the ship's computers to help you assist?
We would.
Yeah.
Would
Yeah,
you be the
that's
ship's
absolutely-
computer?
Sure.
Well, one more die there. Beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, beep, beep, beep,
All
beep.
right, so science and
And you got team
computers.
dynamics. You can use your con or command presence to help organize people around. You got the archaeology team.
Oh yeah,
Do
so
it
I
up,
got
do
so
it
I'll
up.
do my command and presence. So there's me is all right. Well, I failed, but I'm still going to do the. I'm going to use my technical expertise talent that says whenever you attempt a task assisted by the computers or sensors, you may re-roll 1d20. So I'm going to do the ship's one first. That one worked. I'm going to re-roll mine.
How many?
That's what
Yep, that worked.
Okay, so how many successes is that? That was two
Two.
successes on top of what did you two have?
I had one success.
Yeah,
as
so
All right.
4 total.
And 4 total, plus if you spend momentum, you've got the successes from before.
And we would.
Okay. How much more momentum would you like to spend for answers? It was a difficulty of 3, and you needed 5 successes.
So
Is
If-
this somewhere where I could use this testing a theory into? That
Yeah,
Both
for
of us
follow-up
could, yes.
rolls. Yeah, after,
Yes.
but you need to have a successful roll previously in order to
Yeah.
lower the difficulty to 2.
Gotcha.
I also can ask additional or get additional information from
Okay.
this.
The increasing instability in space-time, Rudsky was right, due to the imploding star, is weakening subspace barriers. And you're able to tune in to what's happening. There's energy leaking through subspace into our universe. And we're passing through those leaks every time there's a wave. That's why the sound's getting louder.
We've seen apertures that have had that.
With the pirate fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is one of those potentially inside that star?
That could be causing the sensor shadow, could it not?
You
And
spent-
affecting the gravitational pull in the area.
the whispering is from other minds, and this is what the Vulcans are able to tap into because there's it's like being in a mind meld. The whispering is from other minds that exist, but not in a realm of subspace, but in a realm of subspace or another dimension. It's not from our universe or like a parallel universe like the mirror universe, anything like that. It's which you might not even be aware of. It's all top secret. But the
So they're also here, but not in the same way we are.
if
You're
you
hearing it from
wish
some sort of
to
other side.
tune a subspace transceiver, you can amplify the signal, but it would be control engineering. Rudsky can assist with the engineering.
Is that something you think that you could?
I can
Whip up?
attempt that. I got the
'Cause
I
you've
got
got the
the engineering
frequency and you
in
can
the
hear it, but
control.
you've just got people who can hear it. But you might be able to make it so the whole room can hear it. It will be a difficulty of 1.
Okay, well,
Let's hear it. I think a lot of us really could stand it.
okay, so I'll do
Rudsky rolled a 2. He's on fire today.
This guy,
He's getting a promotion.
he's getting a promotion.
Yeah. I think Armstrong, you should sit down.
Yeah. He's
I
getting
got
a
a
promotion.
19 20.
You've been to the
Not
Bo
gonna
Lassa
get
school.
Okay, so another complication succeeded at cost, but Peter Taylor's going to be furious. You're using one of the crystals to try and tune to the frequency and find a harmonic resonance to try and create the tune. You get the frequency, but it goes like, and it shatters. And Peter's like, ah!
I told you one thing.
I told you one thing. These are priceless. We need them. There was so much to learn. Another eon. There was no other like that. That was the largest one. But then, as you hear that, though, the talking, the whispering, it sounds like an arena of voices now as it plays through the speakers in the med lab. Just as you're getting reports, there's that moment up on the bridge where Captain Riga and the engineer's like, Captain, I'm sorry, we're not going to be ready in time. We need hours more, and just in mid sentence, you've got one of the windows in the med lab that looks out on the exterior of the ship. The sun goes nova, and you're not out of range yet. But at the same time that happens, the receiver kind of clicks in to like clear focus. Like it was all static on a radio, and then you just got the station. The words are not clear, but the emotions are. Any empathic characters, even the light ones like Bajoran, can feel fear and joy and sadness and anger, but it's all mixed in with this chaotic madness. Just as the star explodes, the voices will drain away until there's only a strong voice that speaks through this transceiver into the minds of the characters and to the people listening in the room. Tilakal, help us, please. As the static builds up and it becomes indecipherable, and the frequency loses it. As the star brightens, begins to collapse inwards. But unlike other supernovas, the star doesn't completely collapse, and suddenly, as you see out the window, it pancakes into this brilliant disk. With its outer edges touching into the orbital debris, every computer on the ship begins to blare out as stability in your inertial dampeners and the warp field that was being repaired disappear entirely, and the warp core once again shifts into an automatic safety. Anyone who is monitoring sensors would show a massive, unprecedented subspace rift form around the stellar remnant. The glowing disk spreading outwards towards Troyu 2. If we were up on the bridge, you'd see on the view screen an unimaginable energy of the collapsed star boil away the outer crust before the entire planet erupts into neon green lines of tortured space-time. And then, as the starship is suddenly thrown sideways, it's like the ground falls out. Everyone gets a sense of just dropping. Like you just start going into free fall towards where the supernova was. And then everything just comes to a stop. And it's just a star field outside your window. There's no stellar remnant. There's no expanding plasma cloud. There's no planetary debris. There's nothing except this ripple of space-time that has now gone past the ship and is continuing outward. And there's no more whispering. And that frequency, whatever was tuned into, isn't tuned into anything now. And all the glowing lights and those artifacts, they're just black rock crystal. The camera pans away into the cargo bay. The archaeologists are sorting through rescued objects. They notice glowing streamers of blue light that escape in the small channels that run across the surface of them. Oh, you know what? We have one in the med lab, so that happens too. The sensors don't show anything occurring, but suddenly alerts begin to go and your tricorders are going off, and the main computer begins to detect tears and fractures in subspace leaking out of all of the artifacts. The tears begin to quickly heal and are undetectable again mere seconds after the glow disappears. So we had some in the shattered stuff that you broke. That all happens there on the floor. All of a sudden, like little graded pop marks of space-time just begin to erupt and all that blue tendril energy, and then it's over.
What?
I want to challenge
Good news,
a value.
Captain. Warp has been restored.
That's at least some good news.
Well, it was a few minutes late, Chief Engineer, but thank you. And Captain Riga sets course for Starbase 364, Narendra Station, to meet up with the McGowie.
This is where I tender my resignation.
Can we? I feel like at least some
Peter
sort of
Taylor has just been
scan.
talking his mind off ever since. As you're walking down a hallway, maybe the next day, and he's going through, like, these readings are incredible. I think these crystals might be interdimensional communication devices. They have multi-dimensional computer processes. We didn't know what to look for because we never decided to connect them to the radiation of a supernova, but it's like they spoke to each other. And he's talking faster than you can keep up with them, like he's going full on archaeology nerd.
Are we sure we are where we think we are?
Oh, you're where you are, but the star system you were in isn't anymore. Like, we're going to have to completely remake how we understand science and space-time. If this civilization was powerful enough to transport an entire star system, I mean,
Like,
it's good
out of
news we
phase.
got just out of range. We had no idea to know what the range of that was, but the ship, the planet, the star, who knows what galaxy or universe we would have ended up in. And Peter is so, like, excited about this, but you look horrified, Teth.
I feel like there's like a minor grin in the
Federation
recesses
research.
of my brain.
We are eons away from understanding this. This is the work of the gods. He just kind of walks off in his own head. I'm going to get a Nobel Prize.
I want to hire him for the Horizon. I think he'll be a good fit.
Yeah, he'd be fun. He'd be fun. I guess I'm not getting that promotion after shattering all that stuff.
I was going to say, they actually say, like, depending on your discretion, characters can receive commendation from the Federation Science Council. Oh. Not Armstrong, though. You broke shit. Oh. And you're also not the sciences. These guys are taking all the credit.
Fair enough.
And it's a typical arc for Armstrong that everyone overlooks you always, forever.
Yep. No, that's fine. That's cool.
You know what? You were working hard. I got you another gray sweater with a couple of bands of color across the chest.
Oh, thanks. Robert Amos is also, like, relieved that you all made it back. They saw what happened on the long-range sensors, and the people at Narendra are just like, can I take you out for a drink so you can tell me what that was? Like, no one has ever been that close to a supernova and survived. And the revelation made it out like it didn't even happen.
Yeah.
The two science leads, Lhasa and Teth, you do receive commendations from the Science Council. The commendations mechanically would mean you can cash it in on future missions for a single success in any commander science skill test associated with the council. So if you're doing any kind of missions for them in the future, you can cash in that commendation to get an automatic success. You wouldn't even have to roll. You'd just be like, yeah, I'm calling in a favor. Lieutenant Robert Amos, the Corps of Engineers from the U.S.S. McGowie, you can also keep, not as a support character, but as a contact. If you ever want to hail him, consult, talk to him, he's available in the future as like a recurring character contact that you can call up for end up back on the horizon. Be like, oh, you know what? Let's call up Amos, see what he has to think about this. And he can look over any engineering problems. And Peter Taylor, Peter Taylor is going off to another planet to go look at other ruins because we do not have even scratched the surface of what the Shackleton Expanse is about. Whoever this species was, the reason the Shackleton Expanse is so difficult to navigate is likely because of them manipulating star systems like this. To be able to move a star and its planet, we don't even know where they went. It's almost... You almost wish we hadn't made it out of its range and had been sucked into that same singularity. Imagine the science we could have done.
Yeah. Crazy.
All of you are like paled, like the blood's drained from your face. We're like, Taylor, we would have been in another universe and never been able to get back. There's no point in doing science if we can't report back to Starfleet.
There's no one to tell people.
Yeah, it's like who's gonna bury you when there's no one left to dig a grave.
This is my second encounter with this level of brilliance. I feel like an infant.
I can only imagine at your second because I'm floored at my one.
How are you feeling, Armstrong?
I got to drive the ship.
You and Rudsky get along well. We needed another Rudsky on the crew. Oh,
That hurts a lot.
Rudsky gets the commendation for the Science Council as well for cracking the case and being able to determine. And Teth, I mean, he's the replicator technician on board, but he seems to be some kind of savant.
Yeah, I need to make some better use of him, absolutely. I have to speak with Riga, because that's just insane.
Oh boy, we're back at Narendra Station. I wonder if we'll be able to get an original plate of fries to update the Matrix. I've been thinking about poutine.
You know what, but you do what you need to. I'll see how many strings I can pull.
G-strings?
You had to.
I had to.
And then he says, I want to say, like, as he's like pulling like the poutine and the strands of string, and he pulls it around, and sort of like says something remarkable about the philosophy of like life and light and the connections in the universe. You're kind of like, you're weird, man. What's going on? Riga, I mean, you didn't have the engineers on board, so we kind of bypassed that part of this adventure, which is one reason why we're ending a little early. But Riga was happy to have you all on board, but it's sort of a weird mission with a weird kind of climax. But you're all back at Narendra Station. You hear the Horizon is going to be coming by to pick you all up in a few days. How are you all feeling now? You want to have another scene, one last scene here on Narendra?
I think if we could have like a 10 forward
There's
moment.
there's a commendation. Yeah. Well, there's the commendations from the Science Council. They come here and they pin medals. You're all in like your dress uniforms, and you have this like reception. And Armstrong, you're there to like
you're there too.
Hold something, and you all get this, and all of your reputation bonuses go up. I know we've been kind of lax on doing that, and and then the the reception is there, and there's some toasts that are shared, and then everyone leaves, and it's just the three of you afterwards.
Well, there's a new itch to scratch.
Absolutely.
I mean, Taylor is way out there. He doesn't understand the risks of this, but he was right. There is so much more to discover.
There's so much more out there to question every single one of our ideals or our beliefs. I need to see more. I can't not see more.
Are you sticking around in the expanse then, Dr. Teth?
I'm gonna have to think on this. But you guys seem to be some sort of a magnet for some of this, so...
Or just very fortunate.
Could be.
I'll introduce you to the captain.
I'm sure we'd get along probably not so well.
No, you won't,
No.
but...
No.
I'll make the introductions at least.
I had a hard enough time with mine.
I want to say, like, at that moment, then the Horizon comes out of warp and collides with Narendra Station.
Oh, that's them now.
It's missing one of the nacelles. There's a big hole in the saucer. It's like, no, that's happening.
I might rethink this.
Its saucer is already detached, and it's falling into the planet below.
Armstrong, how are you at two places at once?
So we're actually going to end the episode here. It was only a 3-parter, as it turned out. But it was. I think this is good. I didn't want to stretch things out and pad it too much. It's more mystery, leaves more questions than answers. But there is something to be found. There is a very powerful something out there, doing things. There's. You didn't catch everything before it slipped away, but you got a lot, and I thought it was pretty cool there with the transmission moment in the med lab. People are going to be trying to decipher what that meant for a long time. There's no record in Starfleet database of that name, but it worked enough that the universal translators were able to kick in, so it wasn't so alien as to not be able to understand it. So that's interesting too. We will follow up with this with a debrief, because I feel like we all need to vent a bit and share a bit.
God, yes.
Come over to patreon.com/terriblewarriors. Join us for our debrief for the end of this episode. And if you like Star Trek Adventures and we want to go through and find out the next one, So the next one, if you want us to continue playing the Living Campaign, you can go over to patreon.com/TerribleWarriors. You can also click on our poll. The first option in that poll is always the game we are currently playing. We will let you decide if we're going to do long-form games. In the next time on Star Trek Living Campaign Adventures Horizon Revelations, the player characters are... Now, I don't read this, players, because some of them might have spoilers. The player characters join in a scientific and strategic meeting held aboard Narendra Station. That's helpful, we're already here. At this briefing, they begin to see the bigger picture of the strange going-ons within the Expanse and how alien technology and artifacts are related to the revelation of something called Tilkale. That name was mentioned. The players will investigate the disappearance of Federation sensor probes and run afoul of a Romulan landing party. So the return to the Romulans. Answers where other missions and ships are going to be pooling their resources now. What else is everyone finding out? As we put things together and try and actually put a pin in what's happening in the Shackleton Expanse, I believe it's the Season 1 finale of the Living Campaign is what that episode is. The Assessor Gambit. If you want us to keep playing, and it's written by Jim Johnson, who is someone we also interviewed here on the show. If you want us to return to the Living Campaign, vote for it right now on patreon.com/TerribleWarriors. If you want to listen to the debrief episode, it's available right now at patreon.com/TerribleWarriors. And for now, I have been your Game Master, surrounded by his valiant crew of the U.S.S. Revelation, our helmsman, and really just rolling a whole lot of 20s.
Yeah,
I'm
super unhelpful.
You need some new dice. I should have killed you. I should have just had your tether break off and drift. You would have been more helpful as debris.
And you could play Rubitsky.
Oh boy,
you could be Rudsky now. Fries!
I don't know if I can do that
Did
voice.
someone say Rudsky?
I am Steve Armstrong, played by Brent
I'm your
Morris.
best friend now. I've always wanted a best friend.
Jesus.
Best friend.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm Velvet Duke, who played Lieutenant Bolasa.
I'm Neil Tavares, who played Teth Chovic.
I feel like Teth just got stung by the science bug in this mission.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I just got a taste.
Changing
I got
majors.
I need more. I need more. This was
so much more.
This is a really good mission for 2 science-based characters. Sorry, Armstrong. I feel like I say that a lot.
I just wanted to impress the new character, and I don't think I passed the test.
Get out.
Oh no.
The Terrible Warriors has new episodes out every Tuesday, and the Living Campaign has ended a week early. We only had enough story to really punch out 3 episodes for you, but don't worry. Star Trek Adventures will continue again next week. We decided to fill out this month by calling up the person who wrote this game. Aaron Pollyea is going to join us on the Terrible Warriors to talk about We Are the Stars That Sing With Our Life, the Star Trek Living Campaign, his other works for Star Trek Adventures, for tabletop playing in general, as well as some in-depth conversation on World War II reenactments. Yes, it's going to be one of those episodes where Justin goes off on a tangent and forgets the topic of the interview. A one-on-one interview with Aaron Pollyea, the writer of this very campaign, next week. There's still time before December for you to vote on which game we will record during that month. And if you want us to keep playing the Star Trek Living campaign, and well, you've heard what's going to be happening next, we need to find out what's really going on in the Shackleton Expanse. Head over to patreon.com/Terrible Warriors, and a Patreon supporter of any amount can participate in the monthly poll. And if you don't want us to keep playing Star Trek Adventures, you can choose between Dogs in the Vineyard, Urban Shadows, or Night Witches. You can vote for as many selections as you want, but if you vote for all four, you're kind of canceling out your own choice, aren't you? As well as get involved with our listener community on our Discord channel. They've been running games themselves, and hey, congratulations on that Extra Life marathon y'all recently did. That was a lot of fun to be involved in. Follow us on Twitter at Dice Warriors, and check the show notes to follow all the amazing people who were on this episode. Those amazing people, your crew of the Revelation. Brent Morris, Velvet Duke, Neil Tavares, and Justin Ecock. We return next week with an interview with Aaron Pollyea, and then in the month of December, we return to the world of masks, a new generation, right here on the Terrible Warriors.